Well, first of all, hello everyone. I'm Tracey Taylor and you're watching the Maastricht Edition interview sessions. You are welcome to click on our subscribe button, by the way. Now today I am joined by the lovely Dr. Asha Prasad, creator of the Prasad Method, published author, chiropractor and podcast host. Good evening, Dr. Asha. How are you?
Good. How are you? Thank you, Tracey.
Hi.
Thank you. Lovely to join you.
Lovely to have you here. You know, with that biography, I'm surprised you have any time to talk with me at all, really. You're a busy lady.
I try to keep it interesting. Let's put it that way.
Well, let's start. We're going to be chatting for about 15-20 minutes this evening, and it's lovely to bring all of that you've got to offer to our viewers and listeners. Let's start with a little bit about you. Tell us, first of all, you're born in the US, right? Let's start at the beginning.
At the beginning.
How are you here in lovely Limburg?
Well, you know what? I have been here for probably, I guess, around 11 and a half years now. It started out with wanting to move to Europe to travel, because I think a lot of people do that and love the travel. So, but I wanted to go somewhere where chiropractors were needed, because I wanted to be able to help people and to practice my profession. So when I did that search, the Netherlands came up. And I have to be very honest, I didn't really know a whole lot about the Netherlands, the typical kind of things that you hear about the Netherlands. And, but I decided, you know what, why not? So I looked for a job to see where I could work, got immigration and immigrated over. So that's how I ended up here.
Wow. And the rest is history, as they say. And now you're established here. We're going to talk about a lot of the stuff you do, but first of all, we're going to zoom in on Chirowell. Chirowell, which is your practice here. You have one practice in Maastricht and one in Gulpen. Tell us a little bit about this, because what's very exciting is the fact that people who might need some help can come to you and speak in English.
Yes,
which is really great. So tell us how this all began and what services you actually offer at Chirowell.
Well, in my practices, of course, I offer traditional chiropractic treatment. Now, most people, when they think about a chiropractor, they just kind of think of somebody just cracking backs. I have to say, I do use that technique, but I use a lot of different techniques just depending on, everybody's so different and what's really needed. But I try to look at the whole person as opposed to just like where you're having the pain. And I just find that really helps over the long term with like the healing capability of the body. So I do also give nutritional advice and give advice on vitamins and supplements and try to look at everything that's going on, even different stress factors that may be happening that could be contributing to any of the complaints that people are having. So, that's kind of it in a nutshell.
One stop for everything there. And this, of course, indeed, people traditionally think of the movies where people are having their arms moved around,
twisted,
manipulated, and these awful noises that they put in and everything. But I mean, I've been to your practice and I've had a session with you. It's not like that at all. So unless it's necessary, of course. But this is also something, is the practice of being a chiropractor, is this a relatively new thing here in the Netherlands, or is it something that's been around a while?
That's a really great question. I mean, it's not completely new here. It's probably been established, if I'm not mistaken, around 50 years, maybe a little bit longer here in the Netherlands. Okay. But we still are a relatively small profession here. And so that's why chiropractors are really needed. And actually in most countries here in Europe, chiropractors are in need, as opposed to like in the United States where chiropractic comes from, where it was, originates from. It's kind of like a well-known practice there. It's kind of like mainstream. And here it's not so mainstream. So people are still starting to learn what chiropractic really is. And here you have so many different things. You have, osteopathy, you have manual therapeutic, you have all these different things. And it's quite confusing for patients to really know, like, why do I need to go to this person as opposed to this person? And fact is, it just depends. Everybody responds differently. It really is. And we try to work together. I will say we do work with other professionals, other manual therapists, physios, and that kind of thing to kind of combine things. And sometimes that really is the magic trick for a lot of patients too.
Yeah, this is the case. You can often find a complementary medicine or treatment, of course, like, for example, in your practice in Maastricht, you're working with the lovely Dr. Ben Willems, who is an acupuncturist. And these two treatments can often be fabulously put together in the right way, of course. So,
exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
I wanted to ask you, these days our lives, we're sitting down so much, especially during these times of COVID-19. Do you find that people are coming to you with more complaints at the moment because of, being less active, as it were?
That's a great question, Tracey. You know what? I see a combination of things. I see a lot more people dealing with more complaints for a couple of different reasons. Of course, a lot of people are sitting at their dining room table as their desk, not sitting in a proper chair.
Yes.
They're stressed out too. A lot of people are highly stressed because of the situations that we've had. So that contributes also. So I'm seeing a lot of people that, whereas before they may used to come in just to kind of get a checkup a couple of times a year for, just kind of maintenance, just to check the spine. Now they're actually coming in with complaints, and it has to do with the posture and sitting for long hours. I think that when you're in an office, I think, Tracey, you can probably relate to this too. When you're in an office, you tend to kind of get up and walk around more. Like you go, talk to your colleagues and stuff. But when you're at home, you just kind of have a tendency to just sit there for a lot longer and not move as much.
Yeah.
Exactly.
This is something people should probably be more focused on. And now, indeed, as we sort of move slightly towards coming out of some restrictions and everything, do you think people need to be like mentally aware of adjusting back almost to the old life?
Yes, I think that that's really important, because if you think about it, we've had, about 3 months of kind of like this slower pace, very easy, not so stressed, driving around in traffic. That's kind of been like something that you could, gladly avoid. But now with the busyness, we have to take our time. We have to not rush back into it too quickly, and be aware of that and be easy with yourself. Get more rest, for example, really take the extra care, take some time out from things, go outside, be in nature, all those things that can help you kind of decompress. I think it's really important.
It's really a very, very good advice, of course. Now, we're talking a bit about Chirowell at the moment, and at the end of this interview, we're going to give people information about how they can reach you and make appointments and come by to get some advice, or indeed some information that they might need. But I also wanted to talk to you about some other of these wonderful things that you're involved with, and one of them that's quite intriguing is this Prasad Method and these principles that you're working on. Can you tell us a little bit about this?
Yes, that is my other job.
By day and by night, so yes.
The Prasad Method, that's something that I developed over the years out of really life experience, and over the years of a lot of different training and working with people in a much deeper way. I really concentrate on working, we've got the physical part of us, the physical part of the body, but there's so much more to us than just that. There's the emotional, mental, spiritual aspects of ourselves. And how can we really tap into being like our true, like fantastic selves in life, no matter what stresses or anything like that. And so that's what I do with the Prasad Method, is just a methodology that I developed over the years, and being able to help people. And I work with individuals, I work with organizations, I work with groups and stuff like that. And it's really a very interesting way to kind of bring people kind of into their like true purpose, and into really having more joy in their life and being able to do the things that they want to do.
Yeah, but we could all use a little more joy in our lives, I think, don't you? And particularly these times, like you mentioned earlier, of stress and all the kind of upheaval that everyone is going through. This is kind of maybe the time to investigate the spiritual side of ourselves as well, right?
Exactly.
Wow. Yeah, exciting. And this leads me on as well, because next to being a chiropractor, having the Prasad Method, you are also a published author.
Yes.
Now, I happen to have a copy of your book. Here it is. Authentic Alignment. And I noticed I was flicking through it before we got chatting. On the back, 3 questions. Am I fulfilled? Am I happy? Am I healthy? Very important, and open for a lot of, discussion points there. What brought you to write this book?
Well, that book, that was something that came about like after years. I was in practice before I came to the Netherlands in the United States. And I used to have all these conversations with patients and with people. And we would kind of go along the same kind of conversation. I was having it with so many different people. And some people were asking me, oh, what, I'd like to learn more about that. What, where do I find out information about this? And how does this all connect together? So I wanted to be able, that's what really led me to write that book, because that book is specifically kind of combining this idea of having people look at health in a different way. Most of the time, we look at it as if we don't have pain, we're healthy. And actually, pain serves as a great teacher or a signal to tell us that something's not going okay. And that can be physical pain, mental pain, emotional pain. And so that book came out of experiences over the years of working with many patients that I saw change their lives, like really not only get out of pain, but just transform in their lives. And so I was really inspired to want to share that with people. And so that's how that book came about.
Very exciting. And I believe, and I'm not sure, are you working on another book at the moment?
I am. I'm working on my second one right now. Yes.
Fabulous. When can we expect that in our stores?
Fingers crossed by the end of this year. Fingers crossed. But
That's really well. Looking very curious to see this one coming out as well. So we'll hear more about that when the time comes as well. Now there's so much to cover in our short little slot, and I want to touch on everything. You also have some podcasts going on. Now, we here at the Maastricht Edition, we know a bit about our podcast. It's a great medium to use these days. People can download them, listen when they want, fast forward, go back, replay, this type of thing. Tell us a little bit about this. This is also linking into the Prasad Principles, right?
Yeah, exactly. So the podcast that I have is the Prasad Principles, and that one I just really, it's a weekly podcast that I have that I just talk about topics. Most of the time, I'm answering questions of emails that I get in from clients, from people that are emailing me and saying, hey, I'd love to know a little bit more about this, or do you have any thoughts about this? So, and that's what I do. I just share different topics on personal development, personal growth, happiness, career. I also do a co-host podcast with a good friend of mine from back in the States, Steve Harper. That's Conversations with Asha and Steve. And that one's more business oriented. That one's really more for entrepreneurs or people that are wanting to explore into the entrepreneurial world. And so that's something else that I do as far as the podcasts go.
Oh, gosh, there is so much. Well, listen, I think the best thing we can do now is to make sure that everyone knows where they can find all of these wonderful things. So we're going to do like a quick fire round.
Okay.
For Chirowell, what's the best way for people to reach out and potentially come by for an appointment or to get some advice from you?
The best way is to go to the website. It's chirowell.nl, and you can find a lot of information there. It's in Dutch, and it's also in English. If you just click on the English button, it translates it, so that's very important.
Fantastic.
And you can just send an email, or you can give us a call if you want to make an appointment. If you're inspired to make an appointment, there's also a link on there that says book an appointment, so you can just look on there. And if you have any questions, reach out.
Indeed, it's always worthwhile even coming for some advice, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And it's just to find out a little bit more for yourself. Now, for the Prasad Method and the podcast, these are available online, I think. Some downloads, some software available.
Yeah, so you can definitely go to the website, prasadmethod.com, but you can find the podcast, the Prasad Principles, on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, all of the main podcast platforms that are out there, but you can also find it on the website as well.
Okay, fantastic. So people know where to go. You're also having an Instagram page, of course, so you mentioned that as well. So keep that in mind.
Facebook.
You're everywhere. And if people want to buy and read your book, where's the best place for them to find the book?
So they can definitely find it online, Amazon or Bull.com. They can also go to the website, of course, as well, and they can purchase it there as well.
Wow. Well, there's no excuse for people not to reach out and connect with you. I mean, you have such a fabulous energy, and it's inspirational to speak with you and hear about all of these wonderful things you're doing. And I know from knowing you personally as well that it's such a genuine care that you have. So it's definitely something I would encourage people to investigate. Before we wrap it up, because it's a hot evening, and I'm sure all of us are looking forward to a cold beer or something like that. Is there any takeaway that you have for people who are watching this podcast, this video, about what they should be focusing on right now? What are the key things that they should keep in mind at the moment?
I think, right now, like what we were talking about earlier, Tracey, about the fact that we're coming out of this lockdown situation, that we're starting to get a little bit more movement. Take it easy. Be easy on yourself, and make your health a priority in any way that you can. Every small step that you can take is going to benefit you. So that's what I'd like to leave people with, is just, as we start getting back into movement in our lives. So.
Yeah. Yes. I think that's great advice. I'm certainly going to take that advice. I think that works for me. Well, listen, I think we could chat further, but we're going to bring it to a close. Thank you so much for your time this evening. It was really a pleasure. So thank you to Dr. Asha Prasad. All of the information will be available after this goes live. I'm Tracey Taylor, and you've been watching the Maastricht Edition interview sessions. Until next time. Bye.
Thank you.